When my kids were babies, they peed and pooped in a potty instead of using diapers. Let's talk more about that, but first, you know the drill. Hit the little bell icon, subscribe to my channel, like it if you like it, share it. Let's get back to talking about children who use potties. In my house, we practiced what many cultures practice. It's called elimination communication. You can also call it natural infant hygiene, which sounds flowery and lovely, right? Well, the cool kids call it EC. In all seriousness, EC is about learning a baby's innate cues for peeing and pooping, responding to those cues, and eventually teaching them to use a potty instead of a diaper. I know, it sounds crazy. They have innate cues? They do. How is this different than the way people normally do it? Well, conventional thought about babies and diapers and potty training essentially trains a child to use their diaper as a bathroom. And then at the age when they are most likely to hate you telling them to do anything, you have to untrain them to not use their diaper as a toilet. Oh, and P.S., welcome to capitalism. That whole way of thinking actually perpetuates a multi-billion-dollar industry of diaper sales. Now, when I had my first son 13 years ago, I knew nothing of this diaper-free madness. A good friend of mine, named Lori, told me about this book called Diaper-Free Baby by Ingrid Bauer, and I thought that it was totally nuts. But then I read the book and something huge shifted for me. It really made sense. My husband at the time was not on board. He found the whole thing ridiculous, absurd. He was certain that this would create a barrier between him and our son and he wouldn't be able to take care of him. Sensing this was gonna escalate into a fight, I decided to quietly, on my own, just start observing what our son did when he went potty. And lo and behold, within a few weeks, a pattern emerged. By the age of 10 months, before my son could walk, talk, or even eat solid foods, he could reliably sign for when he wanted to go potty. Sometimes he would make a little arm flapping motion. Sometimes he would scrunch up his face. Every child's signals are different at first, but it was my job to learn what my baby's signs were. And I know you're wondering what this potty looked like. Well, for tiny babies, a newborn potty looks like an upside down plastic top hat. You hold the baby onto the lid and then they poop in it and you just dump it in the toilet. As babies get older, you can prop them up on what's called an older child potty. And eventually they get to graduate to a thrown potty. Ooh. And no, you can't carry a potty with you all the time when you're out and about. So I used trees. You hold them up and they just pee on a tree. You know, like you do. Boy. By 12 months of age, on his first birthday, my son had completely stopped using a diaper. By 17 months, he was wearing adorable teeny tiny underwear, which, no kidding, we had to order from Japan because that apparently is the country where they make teeny tiny underwear. My son has no conscious memory of ever peeing or pooping in a diaper. My second son showed the exact same learning curve. I started EC with him the first week he was born, and by 15 months, before he could walk or speak or even eat solids, he was signing for the potty and not wetting a diaper. After this dramatic set of results, you guessed it, my husband became a believer. EC is not a system of reward and punishment. We don't cheer when they use the potty. We don't admonish them if they have misses. That's right, we don't call them accidents. They're just misses. There are no gold stars, there are no chocolate chips, there's no sense of coercion. EC is simply a peaceful and loving way to communicate to a child that you can attend to all of their needs. Also, practicing EC is the ultimate green solution to having a baby and dealing with potties. There are no landfills to consider, and the washing is actually minimal if you use cloth diapers as a backup. I know it sounds unbelievable, but elimination communication is fun, and it's actually not that difficult once you get the hang of it. And trust me, babies love not sitting in their own urine and feces, I promise. Imagine never having a child with diaper rash. That was my life. Like a lot of the parenting that I practiced, EC is not for everyone. It is a big commitment in the first months, but it's not this exquisitely specialized or elitist practice. EC is practiced by women all over the world, and before super absorbent diapers were something that diaper companies told you that you needed, this is likely how your great-grandparents and beyond practiced pottying. What I found that EC did for me was it allowed me to cultivate the deepest level of intimacy with my children. I was able to meet all of their needs in a way that made sense to them and was comfortable for both of us. Especially for babies who are not verbal early on, which both of mine were not, this kind of communication was incredibly important. It showed a level of understanding between us and our children that nothing else could replicate the same way. I know this all sounds super weird, but it was really, really powerful. Thank goodness for my perseverance and for my now ex-husband's incredible flexibility and open-mindedness. And thank goodness for hardwood floors, because in those first months, I had a lot of misses. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think. Am I crazy or am I brilliant for practicing elimination communication? For more on the unconventional ways that I parented, make sure to go to groknation.com.